Oh, absolutely. It should be very interesting to see what they change up here, as they have gone for the DP once again. This time, though, Lilgun obviously takes the DP for themselves, and they'll go for the Mars pickup. Execration, Mirana, DK, still very, very powerful here in the offlane, so I can't quite blame them for going down that route. Let's see where they do end up heading for these final banouts before we can see some more drafts coming up. I'm glad to see that the smoke has stopped as well, by the way, Jonathan. Good to see the neighbors done burning the leaves that didn't need to be burnt, you know. How many trees do these guys have, by the way, John? I've always been curious. How many trees do you have to burn leaves this often?
There are lots of trees. Like, I'd say 3, 4. I can't count. Like, I want to say 4 trees in like a loose cluster, kind of covering their yard.
Right.
So there are a lot of leaves, but maybe 4 or 5. So there are quite a few, but they are done. It is nighttime. They do it in the afternoon, and once that's over, it's like, all right, we can chill out. The issue is when they start, like the neighbors here in this way also do it, and the neighbors there do it as well. So it's like 3 of them at once is it's a bit much to handle, like that TA the last game. Like it's a bit too much all at once.
Certainly is, John. Certainly is. Band stage going a little bit slower, though. It seems like both teams are having to think about it here, as we are going to have to wait these ones out. Guess when you're against Lilgun, you've got to be very careful what you give them. As again, they're well known for those cheesy styles of draft. And speaking of cheesy styles of draft, John, I'm surprised Lilgun aren't the ones looking at, say, the Visage to be picked up, which we have been seeing in AEU came out a lot. Yesterday we saw it a little bit come out. So it wouldn't surprise me if a team like Lilgun had someone that played Visage, right? Considering the fact that they play these micro-intensive heroes and tend to, have a few cheesier drafts. We haven't seen the Visage come out yet, but I would like to see Lilgun to go down that route, considering it does seem like quite a potent position 1 right now if you did want to run it as a core.
Yeah, and it does feel like it plays into what Fortitude Freer likes. He loves his micro heroes. He loves playing his Brood. He loves playing the Lycan. So that could be one way to go about that. Maybe channel a little bit of the Hawk energy, build into your eggs, get the right click off. Man, that's such a fun hero to watch. Unfortunately, when we saw it from Chu1, didn't have that same presence. His skill buildup was different. He did opt to try to max out Grave Chill along with Soul Assumption, made him very squishy. So he didn't have that tankiness in the front line as we saw the Hawk have, but could be an option here for Lilgun. Execration, though, do take that Pugna back. So they've got the DK Mirana lane, good stun coming through, and now, again, they have the Pugna to sustain them through, to have that Nether Ward to cut off some of the magic damage coming out. I do like that Lilgun go into the Shadow Shaman, so they've got their stable source of hold now. Hex, Shackles, Blink Aetherlant's going to be big timings for that, and they go with the Earth Spirit, so looking like they are considering to run that DP core, as we saw Execration do in the offlane. Likely mid, though, and maybe they're expecting this to be like, say, a Bob DK on the mid. DK, not the best matchup for a DP to deal with. Execration do pick up the Tiny, though, and again, it's been left in this time in comparison to game 1, where I believe Lilgun banned it out along with Storm. So Tiny does make its way through here for Execration. There is some flex. Bob used to play a lot of mid Tiny, and Palos for sure can play that safe lane Tiny as well. So you have some options here. The mid not as popular, but we did see it work the last time it came out, Mike. It does still have a lot that can contribute from the mid and still transitions to the same build as every Tiny goes for once he does get the levels in the tree grab. So don't mind it either way for Expiration. Definitely a little bit faster in a pause 1, but depending on your matchup, could go either way. You already do see the Mars off lane. Tiny's not the worst in that lane, so it should be fine, although you have to kind of respect either the Shackles or the rollout from the Earth Spirit and kind of controlling that Tiny there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Final banouts to come before we do get to see the drafts continue. Lilgun looking to maybe ban out some mid laners, unless you're assuming that the Tiny mid or maybe even the Pugna mid that we saw last night. I think it is safe to assume, though, that Execration probably going to go for another mid lane. I don't think Pugna's really that great of a mid hero anyway. Like, it's so good as a POS 5. Why bother running it in the mid lane? That's the way I see it. Like, it's just unnecessary. Especially, I think it was Bob last night that was running it in the mid lane, if I remember correctly. And he was still kind of doing the same thing anyway, right? He was still life draining his allies in the middle of team fights. And Still building into Aether Lens and Octarine Core, so it felt very unnecessary to have it in the mid anyway. I suppose the only real positive was you get those levels up a lot faster, so you can be a lot more aggressive, and in the right draft, obviously you could just take mid tier 1 towers very, very fast with that mid Pugna, but apart from that, it does seem a little bit, unnecessary here. Of course, Execration, getting rid of position 1s. Already the PL gone. Do they want to ban out something like the Medusa? They do have Tiny after all, or maybe even the Terrorblade to come out.
Yeah, could be safe bans, just to ensure the Tiny has a good core matchup. Do want to point out, I think it was a Lelouch last night, Mike, right? Like on Polaris.
Right, Lelouch.
Yeah, it was Lelouch, and he did make it work, but you are right. His item buildup was fairly similar to the Spart Pugna. In fact, he was queuing up Dagons at the end. I do believe he did have Octarine, so he did have that lower cooldown to play with, but it's like not the biggest thing on the Pugna. Lilgun will close out the Necrophos, so there is your Tiny counter. You have a way of just slicing right through him. You have really durable front lines here from Lilgun. Mars, DP, and Necrophos now coming through. Very hard to nuke down. And Necrophos doesn't particularly care for the Pugna. It is looking like we're getting a Necrophos 1 for 423, and likely now the DP mid and the Mars off lane. So the one thing there is that Necrophos 1, you have to play fast, right? Like 10 minutes is a really big timing for Necrophos. You have level 7, you get maybe your Hood of Defiance up, or your 1 null and Hood of Defiance. You're very durable. You have to start pressuring, and you have to play around that massive cooldown in Reaper's Sight. That's the one thing in this matchup. Necrophos is a good counter to Tiny, but only if he does have that Reaper's Sight to play with, and the cooldown's just kind of oppressive. Whereas Tiny's uptime, Tiny doesn't have any downtime, Mike, once he has the shard. So, you have more windows here for Execration to play around. You worry about going late game now for Lilgun. If it does drag on, the Necrophos can be answered. Like the DP can sort of scale, the Mars can sort of scale, but you're not looking at the same damage output as the Tiny does have. There's still a lot of sustain coming through from Execration. So I like the response from Lilgun in that, yes, it's a Tiny counter, but we saw Lilgun do this in game 1 where they closed out with Razor to counter TA, and that also didn't work out in the best way. So we'll see if the last pick counter for the pause 1 will pay off. Execration do pick up the Bob Invoker coming out, and you should have a pretty strong matchup there, as they will have Sanctity mid Earth Spirit. Never mind. We've got the Earth Spirit mid, Mike.
Wow. Okay. I don't know how to feel about it, John. You know how I do know how to feel about it, John. I don't like it, because this hero...
Wait. Hang on, Mike. You're the one harping on that Earth Spirit's been buffed as a core because of the scaling to his strength stuff, but not as a support. Oh, woe is me. It's a core Earth Spirit. Wouldn't you be happy to see him in his proper role?
I don't think I said that. Yeah. I don't think I said that.
The buffs. Oh, but core Earth Spirit's the one being buffed, not support, because of the strength scaling.
No, they changed the level 10 talent, and I said straight away core Earth Spirit is dead. It is dead.
Scaling. The scaling is there, though. Right?
Sure. Yeah, scaling. I'm going to roll in and die. There's my scaling. Let's see how it pans out. At the very least, talking back to the last pick Invoker here for Bob, I think it was very smart. Against the Necrophos, very, very good. Just Tornado will take off the Ghost Shroud. Easy way to kind of purge that one off. Overall, I want to say I like Execration's draft a lot better, John. I think you can agree with me on that. I agree.
Yeah, again, Necrophos to close out is your big win condition. Is just not ideal. Doesn't scale too well. In fact, none of the heroes of Execration, Lilgun, scale all too well unless you go like a physical Mars build for some damage output towards late game. Maybe try the core Earth Spirit sort of build up and try to scale with your spells. That could be one way. I honestly have no clue if that's any good.
Did you find out what this O bracket thing means?
No, I did not, and that's on me, but I will ask again. But again, I just got context and why they were in Mongolia, how they became friends, and Lilgun are gents. They won. They were gracious to Execration. They built up that camaraderie, went around looking around the sites in Mongolia. Yep. So around Ulaanbaatar, I'm guessing, and just they're a very friendly team, and that came across in the interviews we do in Media Day. They're very shy But they are talkative once you get them going. So it's nice to see that. And I just like seeing Lilgun talk and interact because you rarely see that from them, right? Like they go in the tipping game, they get offensively tipped, but never chatting like this. So it's nice.
Yeah, well, speaking of that tipping game, John, it might be coming. Sanctity in trouble. Nice kick back towards the tier 1. Tino, he's the one in danger now. They might have first blood and they do. How disappointing it was for Tino at least. Never mind. Shanks, he is fine. Rather, Sanctity's fine. Poor old Tino. Not going to be so fine, though.
Yeah, just dives a bit too deep. Doesn't quite have enough damage from the rest of his team to back him up. Then they do get the punishment. You have to remember, repositioning here from Lilgun is pretty strong, Mike. So you start off on the right foot for the side of Lilgun. They did sacrifice one bounty rune going in favor of Execration. So a 3-for-1 start for Execration. Not the worst thing in the world, but again, giving that kind of start to Lilgun does change the pacing. We saw Lilgun play a slower game 1. Game 2 looking like they're ready to ramp it up here.
We'll see if they can make it work. I want to start in this mid lane. Like Bob versus Sanctity on this mid Earth Spirit, John. Even in this mid lane against the Invoker, where I assumed they thought it was going to be Invoker versus Necrophos, I still don't think Sanctity is going to have a very good time. It's not an easy lane for the Earth Spirit to play in. I think Bob's going to be quite dominant here on the Invoker, and you'll still get your levels, but it does seem like it's going to be more important for the Earth Spirit to start rotating early on.
Yeah, you'd really just want to look for kill opportunities with the quick levels you can expect on the mid Earth Spirit. Does feel like rune control is going to be in Sanctity's favor though. He does have more mobility, but it's not like Bob particularly cares for runes anyway. He is an Invoker, doesn't really build up a bottle, so Bob should still be set to farm up. You can follow through here with your support. Shadow Shaman rotation is going to be big if Kishka has the room. So I think that's what we have to watch out for from Lilgun. Play around this Earth Spirit, try to look for those early rotations, and start building up the kills.
Yeah. We'll have a look at the top lane as well. John, Kishka and 11 going to be there on the Mars and the Shadow Shaman against Vincenzo and Palos. Could be a very dangerous lane. Kishka, he's gone too far, I think. Palos, well, he's only level 1 anyway, so he doesn't have the toss back. Doesn't have anything like Avalanche or toss up yet. But it could be a very dangerous combo once you get the Decrepify up and you do have the Avalanche toss. Even at level 1, for the combo, it's going to be a lot of damage if you have that Magic Amp available. Especially against Kishka, who does go in, but this is going to be a lot of damage back his way. It's Vincenzo. We'll just give it back to him. And Pugna, he hits hard.
He hits decently. I wouldn't call it that hard, Mike, especially in comparison to the Shadow Shaman. The issue here is Kishka's outranged and out move speed. Shadow Shaman a bit too sluggish to really trade direct hits with Vincenzo. He's doing a great job of orb walking around. You are seeing some decent presence coming out here from 11, getting some good denies, finding his CS up, slowing down Palos just a tad bit. But it's as you said, once you hit that level 4 mark with a value point and toss, that's when the burst damage starts to come in, even with just level 1 toss Avalanche. With the decrep, it doesn't really matter too much. That amp is big.
Certainly isn't, John. Of course, bot lane as well. Tino on the DK going to be there with Shanks, and this is going to be the very aggressive offlane duo of DK Mirana. Of course, against Ace 12 and 4-2-3, perhaps they won't have the greatest time trying to secure a kill with that double stun combo. They have plenty of heal to come out here from this duo here from Lilgun, but it does seem like you still could make it work. Mid lane though, Sanctity gonna avoid the arrows. Seems to know it was coming. Suppose he knew because of the 3-minute banner rune spawning up that the rotation was gonna be there. So Sanctity gonna be just fine on the mid Earth Spirit.
Yeah, man, just to back off in time. Good amount of harassment coming in through from Bob though, and that does force Sanctity to use all his bottle charges. So he's kind of left for dead here.
Nice kill from Bob. Gets the tornado off just to have enough damage, and well, you see the rotation from the DP, John, but it can't really do much. Ace 12 is forced to just kind of get a D-ward off, back out of there, and maybe farm up the mid lane a little bit.
Yeah, just try to get what he can, but so far not finding that impact on the Earth Spirit mid, not able to rotate the big heroes. I think you'd really want the Shadow Shaman here, but Kishka's again trying to stabilize top, so you're not able to play with a lockdown, play with that range you have on hand. And you are seeing that strong start from Bob. Would have loved to have the earn up for that kill. Doesn't quite have it. We'll have it now. So,
bottom lane, he's got no Ghost Round available. That'll be another kill to go the way of Execration. That's a big one though. 4-2-3. can't really give up his life that easily, but without the Ghost Shroud up, he just doesn't have the defense.
And it's not like you go for laning Ghost Shroud here. They do find that kill up top on Vincenzo. Not the biggest one in exchange. And we talked about this core Necrophos on the 1. We've seen it a couple of times. I remember a time when, I believe Skem, while he was playing Pause 1 for Boom, liked the Necrophos 1 and made it work well. But they built around that momentum. This is a slower start than you'd expect for Necrophos versus DK. This is pretty much a Necrophos favored lane. Like, you can dominate this lane very well. You're ranged up against a melee matchup with your Death Pulse spam. Still, Tino's finding a lot more than you'd expect here, and that is making it awkward for 423 to just handle this.
Yeah, 423 has got level 4 and will hold a skill point in case he needs to go Shroud. Obviously, like you mentioned, John, it's preferable you don't have to go for it at the level 4 mark, but seems like it might have to be the way to go. He'll just hold out for now. Rest of Lilgun just kind of happy to keep that farm going. I suppose the one real saving grace right now for Lilgun is how well 11's farming on the Mars. No problems whatsoever. 35-3 against the 25-1 of Palos. It's been a very good off lane for Lilgun, and see what 11 can do. Like last game, you talked about it, but he didn't really abuse the blink timing on the Sand King. This time on the Mars, I think it's going to be so important for you to start rotating early on.
Yeah, they've got to be able to look for those big arenas, start to lock in some of these heroes, punish the Invoker. I think that blink timing really messes with the Invoker, not going to have the levels to really counterplay all too well. They are going for a bit of a chase, but not going to fully commit onto Shanks. She does manage to run off, and Bob does deny the regen. So no top up here. Once more for Sanctity, Rune Control. Not quite lining up, and this is an oppressive lane now. Bob level 7, Sanctity about to hit 6, but you are seeing that lead and the build up for Bob already going for some rotations here.
Yeah, what an amazing hero Earth Spirit is, eh? Throw him in the mid lane. Just amazing. What's scaling? Oh, what's scaling, John? Oh, he got extra strength.
Rolling boulder.
Yeah, rolling boulder. Yeah,
100% strength. Yeah, just build something like a heart. BKB.
Meanwhile, Tiny will have 4.5k HP in about 10 minutes, John. Just hold out for it. Bob, he's going to rotate back into the mid lane. Sanctity.
Top tower is under attack.
But never mind that, because top lane Vincenzo again going to go down, but Palos, he's going for a chase on Kishka. Avalanche will be up in a moment, but Shackles are going to be there. Arrow is going to fly through on the Shaman, but they do land the spear onto Palos, who will go for the kill, just secure it. In the meantime, there's a Mirana in trouble with Shanks. He's going to TP out. Palos, he's still going to drop. 11 able to secure the kill, but John Sanctity has been chased down. Bob Tornado, it's going to land. The Earth Spirit, one charges up, but it's not going to matter. It won't matter, John, because it's Earth Spirit.
I mean, you still get that good kill in Tiny, so you're trading rocks here, Mark, right? Although you might lose 11 over staying here.
11. The Spirit Vessel going to tick him down, or rather the Urn Charge, but there's the arena down. The turnaround is there. Kishka. Very nice rotation out, and 11 immediately going to hand the tip out.
Yeah, just a bit too deep from Bob, not respecting that respawn from Kishka, so the hold comes in, and do manage to find a punishment. Still a pretty strong start from Execration despite dropping these kills, maintaining a slight lead. Yeah, 11's farming up, but no one else on the side of Lilgun's farming as well as the Mars. 423 is not farming up. Sanctity, you mentioned it, Mike. Our core Earth Spirit is not having a great time. Doesn't find the Invis Rune as well. Another great deny out from Vincenzo. So they're just preventing any of these power runes for Sanctity to build up that rotation on, and we talked about this. You need to play around Necrophos once you hit 6. You need to play around a Reaper's Sight. You've got to build the stacks up. You've got to find those kills. And they are finding kills from Mars, but without activity from 423, it just doesn't feel like this hero is going to scale as fast as Tiny will down the line.
Certainly not, John. Certainly not. Look at Tino down at bot lane. He's still having a great time on that Dragon Knight. On par, basically, with the Mars CS. So I talked about how great of a time 11's having, but Tino, he's having just as good of a time right now on the Dragon Knight. See what he can get done with this, but obviously the early blink timing when you've got a Mirana on your side of things is going to feel very, very good. At least with the net worth, 11 is well and truly ahead, though, as there is going to be a two-man smoke. Bob and Shanks going to group up. Down towards the bot lane they go, and they do have the Urn Charge available on Bob, so it's not going to be too hard to lock somebody down. Obviously, they'd love to find 423, but he's going to back off at the right moment. He'll be just fine. So this rotation from Execration probably not going to pay off. If they check the rest of the jungle, though, they might find 4-2-3, and Bob, he's making his way over now. Tornado is available. Bob going to see 4-2-3, but it might be too late. He's already well and truly out of there and is going to be just fine. In the meantime, Lilgun, they do get the top tier 1 tower. Ace 12 pops the Exorcism and makes quick work of it.
Yeah, they've got Exo and they've still got wards ready in Kishka. They could go for a cheeky Roche play if they wanted to here with the wards. Kishka kind of working his way onto the area, but not going to be the quickest take. Is he really going to go for it? I mean, they could. It still hasn't fixed. No, he backs off. But you always have that threat here from Lilgun because of that, Mike, and it could be one way for Lilgun to, again, just start setting that early pace. But look at Execration. Massive stacks being built up. Ancients decently stacked as well, looking like a double. Palos is certainly set to just have this build-up now going into the Echo Saber, and with no contest, that Tiny's going to be an issue, but Roshan will go. It will go for it.
Do they know? Shanks knows. He's going to check. Arrow's not going to connect on anything, but they know, and they might be able to intercept. 11, trying to cut them off. Roshan is going to be left. This is not the sneak Roshan they wanted. Sanctity, he's going to keep going, though. They've got more time on the Serpent Ward, so they're going to try and sneak it. Shanks, Arrow's up. He'll scout out. 11's going to cop it. 11, he might survive as Roshan is going to drop. They won't make the jump in. 11 will take it himself on the Mars. Eventually, Execration. You had the Moonlight Shadow, you had the leaps out on Shanks, but I guess he just wasn't confident that he'd be able to quite steal it anyway, and I think that's fair enough. You don't really need the Aegis on Execration right now. You just need to ensure that your Tiny is still hitting creeps, and that Palos is doing just fine.
He's having that build-up. Echo Saber flying out now. Shard next. So you are still out farming the Necrophos, but the build-up from Lilgun is still decent. They're lagging behind by less than 1k. You are still seeing that, you know, they are going well despite Sanctity just not having too much on the Earth Spirit. I suppose this build-up for Sanctity could be the way to go. Enchant Remnant might be the way to save yourself and maybe just be a massive nuisance on the enemy, so that could be one way of kind of kiting a Tiny around. Whether or not that's enough, we'll have to see. But double life on Mars doesn't feel like the biggest threat for Execration, and they just respect that AoE hold. Like they respect the big arenas. 11 can pop out, so not taking the risk. Just playing that farm game. Again, this time around, Execration's the one looking for a bit of a slower game. Lilgun's the one looking to really just get going and get all their shots fired from that little gun they've got. And just, again, looking for the smoke plane out. They will go. They've got the blink ready here.
That was terrible, John. That was way... You forced that one way too much, Jonathan. Even set yourself up for that one. Lilgun, they're gonna smoke up into the mid lane. Ace Dwarf's already getting the Exorcism going, but what have they got? Bob has been caught. Problem is they missed the spear, so instead they'll try onto the Pugna. Sanctity, he'll move in, but the Boulder Smash is not going to connect, and now the turnaround is here. Tino, he'll get the stun on Kishka. That'll be a Shaman dead. Meanwhile, Vincenzo just live training himself up, and Ace Dwarf cannot take him down. Vincenzo, he might die to the Ancients of all things. In the meantime, 11, he's been chased by Tino. I don't think he has a great way out of this, John. And no, he doesn't. Spirit Vessel's there. Tino, he'll take the Aegis down. And eventually they should have enough to get through the secondary life. This Palos is going to show up. And it's not going to take too long to get rid of the Mars. See you later.
Yeah, it's as mentioned, Mike, 2 lives and Mars doesn't really mean too much for Execration, so they're willing to give that objective away. They did get a good angle, but not managing to get the spear off onto Bob just cost them. Manages to get the turnaround, stall the fight. They will go for the defense here, though.
Tino, he'll be fine. Bob gonna turn with the EMP Tornado into the Arrow and the Spirit Vessel. It's a lot of damage, and John, what did I tell you, Jonathan? Sanctity, that's what he does. He rolls in. That's about all that's gonna happen, though. At least they do get Tino.
Sweet sepsis.
Yeah, they find a nice kill in the end. Earth Spirit for DK. The DK certainly is a lot more net worth. It's a nice little win for Lilgun, and they do cut off that mid-tier 1 shop. So they defend their tower, they prevent Execration from clearing out the map. There's still that issue of scaling, though. They use Reaper's Sight for that. There's a minute and a half where they don't have that instantaneous burst on hand, and that cooldown stays steady throughout the game. No scaling cooldowns here for Necrophos, which is really the crux of that hero, especially in pause 1. It's such a weird tempo to play around. It's a massive spell, but it only hits 1, and you don't tend to like build a refresh quick enough on Necros to really, get a double in time unless you have something like the Brimstroke. So we'll see how well Lilgun tempos around that so far. They are just going and farming up on their own now. Sanctity working towards that BKB on his core Earth Spirit. Perhaps that's the point where it feels a lot better, rolling in, getting Magnetize off, getting Silences off, and just setting up for, say, a big arena out from 11 could be the way to go. That should line up with 11's BKB as well. So you are looking at a double BKB timing here for Lilgun if they do manage to just keep this farm game up. But you still have to worry about that tiny Mike Palos. Still uncontested, still number 1. And he's got the shard flying out, and he has all the world to grow into.
How do you contest him now? Like, Palos is just pulling way too far ahead, and the scalability just isn't there for Lilgun. They don't seem to be getting anywhere near enough, as now Moonlight Shadow's there. They've found both the Shaman and the Necro, but of course they want 4-2-3 on that pos 1 Necrophos, and he really has no way out, surely. He'll try to walk away, heal up with the Ghost Shroud. In fact, here comes 11. They're going to try and fight back. Invoker's down. Maybe they can fight back, as Tino is gone to boot, and Shanks will be the only one out. But Lilgun, they'll make it in time. And the shackles onto the Invoker made sure they did not have the damage to take down the Necrophos.
Yeah, that's a big one. They were also fairly close to their TP point in the top tier 1. Execration not respecting that map control and the instant TPs that Lilgun do bring out there. They do force out the Exo, but Ace 12 still manages to run mid to get max use of it, clearing out that mid tier 1. So again, the map's opening up. They can start to slow down that pace just a little bit from Palos, but they've got to be able to watch that jungle well. Palos, shard up, Shadowblade not too far off. And again, your Tiny is still going to hit critical mass. I think once the Tiny starts to show up, Mike, the damage issues start to dissipate. And again, it's just a question of scalability. The BKBs are still big from Lilgun once they do come through. But once those fade to 6 seconds, do you really have enough to force these fights out as they drag longer?
I don't think so. Still a 1k net worth advantage here, Execration. They'll hold on to that. Lilgun, looks like they're going to go for a group up mid lane. Shanks will be around if they want to make the jump on the Invoker, or rather the Mirana. Kishka, Ace 12, going to try to move in, but Shanks, he's going to be fine. Instead, Execration might find 11 here in this Radiant jungle. Oh, never mind, they do make the jump in. They've got the Mirana, 4-2-3, no hesitation. We'll go for the Reaper Scythe. Get those stacks going. Lilgun, it seems like they want to keep going for more. As Execration, they tried to chase 11, but now the turnaround is coming. Vincenzo, he's been left behind. Bob, he's targeted. Tornado, though, is going to fly through, but the roll is eventually going to connect here from Sanctity. Here comes Palos, though. Kishka, he'll be the target on the Shaman. He's gone. They've still locked Bob down in the arena, but they've got to deal with Palos. The Tiny trying to get away. He's going to get rolled on. 4-2-3 going to show up. Palos, he shouldn't have joined the fight. He should have just let Bob go down. But now he goes down to boot, and well, Lilgun, they are finding some successful team fights for themselves.
They're finding a really good way to split Execration up. They're just not quite playing as a team, trying to go greedy, clearing out the map. And if you can't leverage your combinations with, say, Dragon Tail into Arrow, if you can't use the follow-through from the Invoker, the Life Drain to prolong these fights, then Lilgun will always have more with just Mars +1. And that duo for Lilgun of 11 and Kish has been doing a lot of work in this match already. They even out the net worth just a bit more. The Tiny is still number 1, but that takes a lot of bite away, knowing that you can still handle Palos at this point. Only 500 gold ahead of the Necro. So you are seeing that keep up here from 423. Does have the casual plate mail, and you're not at critical mass yet for the Tiny in terms of raw damage output, so it's not like you can instantly burst down that Necrophos. And I do like that he does have that shard as well. The Death Seeker up, just a nice way to disarm the Tiny as well, get him decrepified up, or at least ghost formed up. And until the BKB is out for Palos, it's not going to be a very comfy time for him in both these engagements.
They're still grouped up here, Lilgun. They might want to go again, and there's your smoke out. 4-2-3, he's got the Reaper Scythe back up and available in 5 seconds, and it just seems like they just want to keep abusing this timing. Giant Triangle, they might find Palos. Palos does have Shadowblade, though, is going to walk away at the exact right time. They could follow the couriers, though. Down towards the south, the couriers will give all the information. These couriers be snitching, Jonathan. Vincenzo, roll in. Sanctity gonna find the Pugna first. Moonlight Shadow was there, but it should not matter. Vincenzo's gone. In fact, they even found another. Arena down. They've got Tino. Can they get in there for the TP cancellation? It does seem like they can. The Reaper Sight is coming in. 4-2-3. Does he want it? Yeah, he does. Why not? More stacks for the Necro. Lilgun, they are not slowing down anytime soon.
They're keeping it speedy. They're hitting their spikes. They've got not a full network lead, but they've got that momentum. You know, the levels are up. The damage is pouring in. And until the side of Execration start to find those BKBs, they're very susceptible to those jumps. So looking for Tino, looking for Bob and Palos to finish up those BKBs. From there, you can start rolling and you can start looking for those angles yourselves. But you have to respect that output from Lilgun. 423 has been doing a great job of showing up in the middle of these fights. Has the Lotus Orb ready. So again, a little bit more armor, some ways to handle some of the spells and debuffs coming through from Execration here as well. And they could go for Roshan once more, and they will run into it. They've got the wards ready. Not going to fully commit. They do have the fresh BKB up on 11, and they could just opt to force a fight in the next 20 seconds first, but Power does spot out. So Roshan is sort of scouted out. The wards are still committed. Execration, can you handle this a second time? That's a free shard coming through as well. More utility coming through for either Kishka or 11. Double in the spear. The wards coming through from Shackles. Either one's pretty big here.
Well, this one I'd say you need to try and find is Execration. At least try to go for the steal, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Like, they've got the vision with the arrows, but it doesn't seem good enough yet. Maybe Tino looking to jump in. Roshan, it's going to go the way of Execration. Thanks to a nice arrow from Shanks. They do at least get the gold for it, but they will not get the Aegis. It will be snatched away by 4-2-3.
Aegis on Necrophos. Maybe a little bit better than Mars, because you are like really annoying in front line with Ghost Shroud, with the Death Seeker, with Death Pulse, if you can sustain, and of course you have the Lotus Orb to save. So that could give you more value here. You are still building up really nicely in Execration despite some of these Roche takes, like two Roches going the way of Lilgun. Execration not a care in the world. They do hit one BKB up now. Palos has his flying out. Just have to wait for Tino and for Bob to have their own BKBs. And once again, once you have that, the Necrophos one loses a lot of bite. The Earth Spirit loses a lot of bite. Even the DP and the Shadow Shaman hold just doesn't feel amazing. So this is the point where Lilgun's draft will be tested, Mike. Once the BKBs come through, can you really fight against a Tiny here? It's going to be tough for Lilgun, but if they work their angles, there could still be openings showing for themselves here.
I mean, you can certainly lock down Palos, like, for quite a long time, assuming you can get the jump in, but yeah, if the BKB's popped, you probably should just run. Tier 1 mid tower, there you go. Look at that damage. They'll glyph it up. Top tier 2 is going down at the same time here. Lilgun still trying to get a decent trade for themselves. There is going to be a TP here from 4-2-3. He's alone for now. Maybe they make the jump in. Dragon Tail there to start. Arrow to follow up. Meanwhile, Palos right in on Kishka. Will get the Shaman down, and they've lost the Aegis. The Necrophos Aegis already gone. Sanctity's going to roll away. Arena, though, 11. Nice double stun out with the spear and the double silence to follow. They don't have the BKB, but they've got the Reaper Sight. Palos is gone. Onto the DK Tino. He's not going to survive either. So Lilgun, there's a very rough start, but 11, setting up a great fight for his team.
It's that shard pickup from the Roche that really just gave that. The double spear is just way too much. Execration's been having a ton of trouble. With 11, he's got really good angles throughout this game. And the BKBs are nice, but they were forced to extend that fight because of the Aegis, and they overstayed their welcome. BKB fades. And again, it's only our Tiny with a BKB. You don't have it yet on Bob. You don't have it yet on Tino. So the two other cores aren't ready to commit as much as the Tiny is. And they do get punished for it once more. Bob, speaking of, does pick up his BKB. So perhaps now the Invoker can start to play a little bit more forward, use his spells, and try to connect a little bit more with that Tiny. And they still maintain that 3k gold lead on Execration, but Lilgun has been working the draft really well. You know, 4-2-3, 4 stacks of the Reaper's Sight, 18 HP regen, 6 mana per second as well. Feeling really durable. All you really need is just some EHP to back that up. Armor's already looking good, so additional strength down line is going for the Kaya Sanj. And more often, they are going to defend.
Tino gonna set up the arrow once again, but do they have enough to take him down? Roll forward, 4-2-3. He'll survive for now. Sanctity does roll in. 4-2-3 still in a bit of danger. In the meantime, Palos, he's got Kishka down. 4-2-3, he'll still run. Bob on the chase. Arrow not gonna land, but they do get the Necrophos anyway. Tino, he's been caught though. Oh, the Dragon Knight should eventually die. Now Bob, he'll come up next. 11, he's the real problem, but Palos, he'll move back into the Tiny. Take down Ace 12, and now they certainly can't take the fight. Lilgun, they've got to run. 11 though, gonna cop the arrow here from Shanks. Is gonna drop eventually. It's a first fight in a long time here for Execration, but they managed to make one work.
Yeah, it was still a little bit awkward coming out from Execration, but they find a good angle coming in. When the TP out from Palos, they managed to take the gem back as well from Ace 12. So they've got vision control back here. For Execration, they can clear out some of these really good wards that Lilgun has been playing around. And again, you've got 2 BKBs out of 3. You're going to have 3 BKBs out of 3 on all of your cores now for Execration for Tino in a short while. And this is where Lilgun has to really work and weave their way inside and out of these fights very well. We've seen that patience kick in, that arena from 11, the patience from him to see that, Invoker's BKB fades. He does manage to get the control off. Doesn't really get the spear off, but the kill comes out nonetheless. So they do manage to salvage some remnants of that fight for the side of Lilgun. But Execration, I mean, Palos, he's got the full silver edge up. All right.
Like Ishka. You can't survive. It's too much. Like Palos, he's just going for the Shaman every time. We kind of briefly went over that, right? Like, as long as the Shaman is able to get the jump on Palos, even after the BKB, it's going to be quite hard for Palos in these fights. But if Palos just focuses Kishka every single team fight, you don't really have a way of avoiding that. So 11 moves in, Spear, Reaper's Scythe, a bit early. Palos, he's going to be fine. He's way too tanky. 11's the one to drop, and now 4-2-3, he's going to find a way out. They're going to buy back though. On the Mars, Palos eventually going to drop it now. Tino, he's going to jump in. 4-2-3's gone. Sanctity, he will drop to boot. 11, he's trying to fight. Tino, he is the target, but he'll wait patiently for the arena walls to come down as the stun is going to land. He's still alive. Decrepify, it'll save. Vincenzo, he'll heal him up. Kishka, he may have gone too far. Oh boy. Lilgun giving a lot back the way of Execration. And Tino, he's still hunting.
Yeah, and that's Tino just coming in at the right time. Still without the BKB, but does manage to just time his entrance well, allowing Palos to cop through a lot of that control and just cleaning up afterwards. Very early Reaper's Sight. I think they wanted to use that as a stun, but they had no burst damage on hand, so they missed an opportunity.
So they're going to find 11. Arrow's going to land. Sunstrike to follow up. They've got the Mars. A full team wipe here for Execration. But they aren't going to have the Tiny, which means they don't have the damage for the tier 3 tower before they do respawn up. So Execration, they'll take what they get and they back off. But now with an 11k net worth lead, you've got to pause one Tiny. It's going to be a very challenging task for the side of Lilgun to try and come back in this game too.
Yeah, it's tough. It does feel like you're starting to peter off now on Necrophos. You're seeing the issues of playing around Reaper's Sight, the cooldown, just... It keeps you in a very predictable pattern. Once you see Reaper's Sight, you know the side of Lilgun can't fully commit for these fights, and a lot of that pressure gets offloaded onto 11 to make plays, and he has done a lot of good plays in this game, to be fair. He's been delivering goods, but there's only so much he can do up against a Tiny now.
What they got? They at least find a Mirana kill. Should be at least a kill, as they have perfect lockdown here for Lilgun. Shank's gonna drop. They'll take the outpost back, but it does seem like Lilgun now going to be scrambling to try and set up for the next Roshan attempt. And they've found the first two, but they've got to be very wary. This third one, by far the most important. Considering how far behind they are right now, they just cannot afford Execration to be able to pick that Aegis up. And if they do, the game could be as well as over.
Gets really tough with that Aegis to be the next place. 20 seconds away until we see that respawn. Lilgun in good position to just handle it. They've got the wards once more to watch over Rosh. They've got the wards to deal with it as well, the Serpent wards to deal with Roshan to give them the damage. Not going to be able to go for it just yet. There was a bit of an arena out from 11, doesn't really catch anyone, does zone out the rest of Execration though. And that is on cooldown now as well for just a little bit, not too long. should line up Roshan fairly quick.
Radiant's
So
middle
Lilgun has a
tower
good
is under
advantage here.
attack.
He managed to just see this opportunity, take Roche once more with the Shadow Shaman wards. Execration's playing on the opposite side of the map. They don't have control of their top jungle.
Radiant
Outpost
are
is taken,
scanning.
wave is shoved in. So they've got a
Dire's
decent
top
opportunity.
tower is under
Execration's
attack.
just looking to shove in bot. Maybe force a response out, but yeah, that's an opening here for Lilgun to just go for Roche Tree.
That will be, John. Happy days here for Execration. Lilgun, though, 5 seconds away from Roshan spawning in Execration. They really don't want to let this go back the other way. Sunstrike. Bit early. I believe should still give the vision. Did they even scatter down on Lilgun? Did they leave too early?
It looks like they did. I think they rolled out right as Roche respawned, but the lingering Sunstrike vision gives Execration a slight advantage here. They are working their way onto Roche, and they will smoke for this, so they might be able to find a first Roche of the game if they find a kill and go straight in.
Yeah, I mean, Execration, they scattered it out with the arrow from Shanks, so they know Roshan's up. Lilgun, they're the ones not aware right now that Roshan is actually available. A great scan out, going to give some form of information here, though. Execration gonna have their smoke broken by 4-2-3, but they've got the vision. It's a great target. If they can get the Necrophos first, they'll be more than happy with this team fight to start, as he's dropping real quick. 4-2-3, he'll get the Ghost Shroud in time, but the Spirit Vessel not allowing him to heal up, as he's gonna drop surely. He's still walking, but it's not gonna be enough. Palos gets him down. In the meantime, Arena on the side, onto Tino. Spear, though, not gonna connect, so they can't deal with the Dragon Knight. Ace 12, he'll move in and try to get it done himself. They've got the Shackles. Tino, he'll be the second to drop, as Ace 12 going for a bit more with that Execration. Palos moving back in, though, might have him down, and does. Sanctity still trying to get Vincenzo. It's probably not going to be enough. In fact, never mind, they'll get him down, but here comes Bob, a big tornado catching the Earth Spirit. Just not enough to completely lock him down, though. Instead, 11 going to be BKB'd up and just TP right out in front of them. A 2-for-2 trade. They do end up finding that position 1 Necrophos, and well, Execration, they can certainly try for the Roshan now.
Doesn't take too long with a tiny on hand, and we've seen Bob just toss the Alacrity out onto Palos to speed the process up for Siege. Works very well onto the Roche as well, but Palos has different ideas. Sees this opening, decides to play bot, look for a straggler.
Oh, 11. No BKB. They saw him use it. What do you do?
Can't do much about that. Nice kill coming out from Execration. Again, a great read from Palos to just TP bot. We do find Shanks with a trouble, but might cost him here.
Yeah, Bob's going to pop his BKB and go right after Kishka. Sanctity, he's going to try and go for the fight. But Palos is coming. It's a very dangerous fight to go for, because this Tiny can wipe you out in one combo, and there it is. Palos is in. Sanctity, he's not dead yet, but surely soon. As no, the tree, he threw it away. He didn't have the damage output. Now Tino, he's jumped in. BKB pop trying to get away from 4-2-3 before the Reapers comes out. Palos, looking to move back in, though, has found the DP. That'll be another. 4-2-3 still sticking around, but I think Tino is healthy enough. Instead, he'll try onto Palos. What was that? I guess he was hoping Sanctity would roll in to get some more damage off, but that's a wasted ulti, and now maybe a wasted life. Up in the air, 4-2-3. Ghost Shroud in 3 seconds, but it's probably not going to be enough, and it won't be.
And that should open up Roshan here for Execration now. They've got the advantage. They can always just top up with a Pugna, the Walking Fountain, as you like to call it. Palos instead will opt to go all the way back home, not wanting to risk it. Still, Lilgun again, they've been forced to use Reaper's Sight as a bit of a hold and try to get the damage on top, but they just don't have the burst on hand. The scaling damage on our Earth Spirit isn't amazing. 100% of strength. That's a whooping 145 extra damage. Ain't that nice?
Wow.
30 plus 145. Outstanding roll damage coming through. Along with the spell amp, of course, that I'm not calculating from Micaiah. Insane output, Mike, but not enough to play with a sight play.
Thank you for that, John. I could have told you that about an hour ago, Jonathan, but thank you. Execration.
Here we go. Yep. Look at this.
Yep. Just 700 damage per right click without double damage. No problem. Palos, he'll take care of Roshan, but a fight is going to break out. Tino getting tossed in is going to take down Kishka. And Execration, they will pick up their Roshan. Refresher Shan available on that one, but it seems like they want the fight. Tino, looking for a Blinken, is not going to be able to catch up to Ace 12. The DP will be okay. But how do you defend high ground now? I mean, you've got 35 seconds without Kishka.
Yeah, the Shaman's a big part of your hold, and you do have Reaper's Sight in a few seconds. So you could try to play with that. Ideal scenario is you get a good double spear and arena off from 11, and then you pop that Reaper's Sight onto someone who's low. That should be enough damage coming through with the gods who weak to back you up. And that could catch Execration off guard. If they do leave themselves vulnerable, we haven't seen them really put themselves in that position yet. Satanic up now for Palos as well. So if you thought he wasn't hitting hard enough, well, yeah, he's going to hit even harder there, Mike, and have some lifesteal on hand. He's not just beholden to Vincenzo and him having to heal up. You can always just pop that active and go full HP right afterwards. Still,
Lovely.
Overwhelming blink up for 11. That could be big.
Bob, find Ace 12. Go for the blink in. TPs are coming. Tino, he'll join soon. Jumps into the Dragon Tail stun, but they're trying to do it with Bob immediately. Bob surviving. Will get the BKB off. Tino still going with that Black Dragon. Ace 12 trying to run. There's no running though. He'll Spirit Siphon up. He'll heal up, but not against Palos. They at least found Bob. The Invoker does go down, so you were not going to have Alacrity for that high ground push. But you've got a Black Dragon, John. I think that's even better.
Oh, it's a hell lot better with the doubled siege creeps as well coming in from Execration. And you still have Tiny around anyway, so don't really mind too much. It's not going to take too long.
Oh, nice double spear. 11 setting up once again, but there's no follow-up to it. They'll pop the Exorcism, they'll try. Palos might want to turn around. He can't though. Tino, he'll be the one to just TP out with the BKB up. It is going to make it. And instead, the only target that can really chase is Shanks. But he can just leap away. As the roll is on from Sanctity, but he has no clue where this Mirana's gone.
Yeah, still trying to chase. They did force the buyback out from Ace 12, and they respect that in Execration. Just back off. They don't want to deal with that Exorcism out from the DP. And they do prevent themselves from losing moral, though.
Oh, there goes Kishka. They were still looking around for Shanks, and it cost them. I mean, they chased that long on the Mirana. She never gets caught out, and well, now Execration. I guess they've waited for Palos, they've waited for Bob. Bob will be back up in 1. And it's off to the races now. Execration, really nothing to hold them back.
Arena is back up.
You don't have
You
Dragon.
have that weak in here. Yeah, it could
11.
make it slower. There you go.
Palos, he's in. He sees a very free kill. 11. Gonna be BKB run. Will make it as Vincenzo barely survives. Sanctity, gonna BKB in time before the arrow comes in, but he cannot man up against Palos. Vincenzo actually is gonna drop to the magnetized damage. So they don't have the Pug now. Is it gonna matter though? Tino, he's in with the Fireball and the Dragon Tail into the arrow. There goes Ace 12. He's died back. Palos, he's in trouble, but he's got an Aegis up. He might be willing to lose his first life. So they'll hold him down with the shackles. That'll be 1. Can you get him a second time though?
I trust everyone.
It's pretty tough. 11, gonna try and get the spear off, but it's too late. BKB is there. 11's gone. Tino, in the meantime, on the Shaman. Sanctity, gonna move in onto the Dragon Knight. You've got the Reaper's Sight. In fact, no, you don't. 423 doesn't have enough cooldown yet. Now he does, though. He'll drop it immediately onto Vincenzo. He'll leave Tino to be, but they've got him anyway. So Lilgun, they've defended once again. It's 11, he's jumped in, but he's on his own. Oh, 11, he's on his own. He was trying to catch somebody with the spear back, but it's not enough.
That's a dive back too. He's not going to have that opportunity for the high ground hold. No Reaper Sight to threaten Palos. They do have good wave clear with the Necrophos, but it's still a Tiny with Alacrity. Still going to make short work of those racks.
Move in, arrow, Sanctity gonna avoid that, but again the right click damage is way too high, and they got the Necrophos! So the arrow, I believe, connected on 423 instead. He's got no buyback, John.
Yeah, It's not. It doesn't look like Execration gets a read on that. They do back off, so gonna respect just a little bit. Maybe looking for a secondary Rex to go for on the mid, or just wait for the response to come in from them. But they understand they've got the scaling advantage. 24k up. We are seeing the shortcomings of Lilgun's draft. They have to execute to a perfect degree. They're stuck with only one use of Reaper Sight, but no refresh here on our Necro, so you can only really burst one. And in the last fight, they were forced to burst down Vincenzo, not the biggest target. That was still a dieback on Pugna. But again, your issues lie in the Tiny, in the Dragon Knight, and to an extent, even the Invoker. Bob just standing all the way back, forcing 11 to jump really far in just to find the Invoker. And Bob's positioning has been improving in this game. Look at that. Mid-racks just fall, Alacrity up. This is just silly.
Well, Hex out. Maybe they can hold down Palos, but I guess he's not too worried about that. Kishka trying to find the Tiny, but in the meantime, Sanctity barely able to roll away. Now the Shackles is out. You've got 10 seconds for the Necrophos to come back in, but it may not matter. Kishka, he's gone already. Ace 12 will go for a chase as 11. He's back. You've still got the BKB available though on Palos, and the immediate side device from Bob onto 11 means the Mars is gone. Surely he does go down. Sanctity still trying to fight back. 4-2-3. He's got the Reaper's sight, but it's not enough yet. They'll still chase a bit more, but Palos, he's got the Satanic up. That's your Necrophos gone. Onto the DP now. That's it. GG's called. They've seen enough. You know, Jonathan, I really hope there's going to be a patch before this major, because this Tiny hero, it's too much.
It really is too much, Mike. But look, weren't you just saying that you learned to love the bomb and just enjoy it?
Oh, I do.
Tiny's the bomb. Yeah,
I love it.
But it is definitely too broken. Like, I think Lilgun, they had an idea again. You know, they fall back to Necrophos 1 as we saw them fall back to the Razor in the last game, right? The TA answer was the Razor. In this case, the Tiny answer was the Necrophos. But they ran into that scalability. They didn't have a hero that would like scale into this late game point for them with the offlane Mars and the mid Earth Spirit. I have to remind myself, I almost said mid DP. They just didn't have that scaling. I mean, there is scaling on Earth Spirit, 100% of your strength, so you get like 170 damage on your roll. That's nice. It's not quite what you're looking for. But to be fair to Lilgun, they did play well. 11 with that blink just played like a madman, started to look for those opportunities. They tried to play around their timing. It's just that Execration, their draft was more forgiving. They just needed to stall out for 5 to 10 minutes, or around 10 to 15 minutes actually, from when Lilgun got strong and build up on Tiny, get their BKBs. Once those triple BKBs lined up, Mike, Execration was starting to find that foothold, and it was just a matter of scaling into the late game with the itemization of Palos and just sieging from then, taking those fights. Whereas for Lilgun, they had to get perfect arenas, they had to get perfect double spears, and get the perfect use of Reaper Sight. And we just saw 423. He'd use it immediately as a control piece, but the follow-up damage just wasn't there.
Certainly wasn't, John. And with that, that is going to be our first series of the night gone. We are going to have another 2 series coming up, of course. Our next one going to be Patriots against Army Geniuses. So don't go anywhere. We are going to have a 20-minute break. But of course, right after that break, we'll be back with our second best of 2 between AG and, of course, Patriots. We'll see you then.